Hello, friend. What if the most dangerous traps on Earth weren't built by humans at all? No cages, no walls, no warning signs, just nature, waiting silently. Today, we're counting down 10 natural traps so powerful, so unforgiving, that once you enter, escape may be impossible. Some look beautiful, some look harmless, and one is completely invisible. Let's begin. Number 10. Ocean whirlpools. Imagine water spinning faster than a highway car, pulling everything toward its center. Powerful tidal currents can form natural whirlpools, massive rotating funnels that drag boats off course and exhaust even strong swimmers within seconds. A whirlpool forms when water flows in different directions and creates a rotating current. This can happen where strong tides collide. River currents squeeze through narrow channels, water drains downward, opposing currents meet, and instead of flowing straight, the water begins to spin around a central point, creating a vortex. Whirlpools often form in places that are already risky. Near rocks, around bridge pilings, in narrow straits, at the base of waterfalls, and in tidal channels. Are whirlpools always deadly? Not necessarily. The real danger depends on water depth, current speed size of the vortex, and surrounding conditions. Places like Norway's Saltstraumen and Japan's Naruto whirlpools create some of the strongest tidal currents on Earth. You don't get sucked into a hole, like in movies, but you can lose control, panic, and disappear beneath the surface. And that's just moving water. What happens when the ground itself betrays you? Number 9. Quicksand and tidal mudflats. Quicksand isn't a monster. It's physics. Water-saturated sand loses its structure, turning solid ground into a slow, sticky trap. The real dangers, and what makes it hard to escape, are panic and exhaustion, strong suction and friction, vulnerability to tides rising, waves, river surges, hypothermia, heat exposure, dehydration, injuries during self-rescue attempts. Most people won't sink completely, but escape requires calm movements, something fear rarely allows. The real danger? Coastal mudflats. They look peaceful, flat, quiet, almost boring. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. A mudflat is a coastal area where fine sediment of silt, clay, and water builds up in tidal zones. You'll usually find them in estuaries along tidal rivers, behind barrier islands in shallow coastal bays. Mudflats often behave like quicksand. Here's why. When you step on it, pressure liquefies the surface layer. You might sink a few inches up to your knees, occasionally waist-deep in very soft areas. The danger isn't that you'll vanish underground. It's that suction and viscosity make it extremely hard to pull your feet out. And when you try to yank your legs straight up, you're fighting vacuum-like resistance. When the tide goes out, it exposes wide stretches of soft, wet ground. As the tide rises, people trapped in thick mud can't move fast enough to outrun the ocean. Nature doesn't chase you. It simply waits. But some traps don't grab your body, they steal your breath. Number 8. Invisible volcanic gas. In 1986, a silent cloud rolled down from Lake Nyos in Cameroon. No fire, no explosion, just gas. Carbon dioxide, heavier than air, displaced oxygen and suffocated entire villages. Over 1,700 people died, many in their sleep, because they simply inhaled air that no longer contained enough oxygen. Invisible volcanic gases don't explode. They don't glow. They don't roar. They just quietly replace the air you need to live. Volcanoes release several gases, but the most dangerous invisible ones are carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and sulfur dioxide. Many of these are colorless, some are odorless at high concentrations, and some are heavier than air, which is where the danger really begins. Carbon dioxide is especially dangerous because it's heavier than air. It settles in low areas. It pushes oxygen out. You don't feel it building up. You don't smell it. You don't see it. As oxygen levels drop, you get dizzy. Your thinking slows. You lose coordination. You pass out. And you may not even realize what's happening before you collapse. This is called asphyxiation by oxygen displacement, and it can happen fast in enclosed or low-lying areas. Hydrogen sulfide smells like rotten eggs, at first, but at high concentrations, it paralyzes your sense of smell, shuts down your respiratory system, and causes rapid unconsciousness. So, someone might think the smell went away, when in reality, the gas concentration just became deadly. The bottom line is that invisible volcanic gases are dangerous because they replace breathable oxygen, shut down the nervous system, pool in low areas, provide little to no warning, and travel silently beyond the eruption site. They don't need fire to be deadly. They just need you to breathe. You might never smell it, never see it, and never know why you suddenly can't breathe. If invisible air can kill you, what about invisible cracks beneath your feet? Number 7. Glacier crevasses. From above, glaciers look smooth and endless, but hidden beneath thin layers of snow are deep fractures called crevasses, some hundreds of feet deep. One step, and the ground vanishes. Wind blows snow over crevasses, creating what's called a snow bridge, a thin crust that looks solid but may be hollow underneath. To your eye, it looks like normal snow. It feels stable, until it doesn't. One step, and the surface collapses. The drop can be deadly. Crevasses can plunge 30 feet, 60 feet, sometimes over 150 feet. And they're not smooth ice tunnels. Inside, you'll find sharp ice walls, narrow constrictions, and overhanging ledges. A fall can mean broken bones, head injury, becoming wedged in ice, and being trapped far below the surface. Self-rescue is extremely difficult. Once inside a crevasse, walls are vertical and slick. Temperatures are colder than the surface. Light fades quickly. Without rope systems and trained partners, climbing out is nearly impossible. Glacier crevasses are so dangerous because they combine hidden structures, sudden collapse risk, extreme depth, vertical ice walls, cold exposure, and difficult rescue. They don't attack you. They wait. And because glaciers are always moving, they're constantly reshaping the hazards beneath your feet. And sometimes, the ground doesn't crack slowly. It simply collapses. Number 6. Sinkholes. Entire roads, houses, even city blocks have vanished into sudden sinkholes. No warning, no shaking ground, no dramatic buildup. The earth just gives way. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous. A sinkhole forms when the ground above an underground void collapses. Most commonly, this happens in areas with limestone bedrock. Slightly acidic groundwater slowly dissolves the rock over years, creating underground cavities. When the surface layer can't support itself anymore, it collapses. The biggest danger is unpredictability. You could be driving, walking, sleeping in your home, and the ground beneath you suddenly drops. Some sinkholes are small, a few feet wide. Others can swallow cars, buildings, even entire sections of road. And because the collapse often happens quickly, there's little time to react. A sinkhole isn't just a shallow dip, it can be 10 feet deep, 50 feet deep, or over 100 feet deep in extreme cases. And the sides are often unstable. The soil can continue slumping inward after the initial collapse, making rescue dangerous. Once inside, climbing out becomes nearly impossible. One of the lesser-known dangers is that the first collapse isn't always the last. The surrounding ground may still be weak. Edges can crumble. The hole can expand outward. That means standing too close can be risky. Rescue crews must move carefully, and nearby structures may also be compromised. Sinkholes don't just swallow dirt. They can rupture water mains, sewer lines, gas lines, and electrical systems. This can trigger flooding, contamination, and fires or explosions if gas lines are hit. In urban areas, the chain reaction can be severe. So why are sinkholes so dangerous? Sinkholes combine sudden structural failure, significant depth, ongoing collapse risk, infrastructure damage, and little to no warning. They're silent ground failure. And when the surface you trust disappears, reaction time matters. But not all traps pull you downward. Some trap you in freezing silence. Number 5. Thin ice. A frozen lake can look solid, calm, beautiful, harmless, until it cracks. Cold shock hits within seconds. Muscles fail. Breathing becomes uncontrollable. Even if you find the edge, The ice breaks again and again under your weight. Rescuers call it the ice trap, because survival becomes a race against time and temperature. Thin ice is dangerous for one simple reason. It looks solid, right up until it isn't, and by the time you realize it can't hold you, gravity has already voted. Let's break down why it's such a serious hazard. Ice forms when surface water freezes, but it doesn't freeze evenly. You can have one section that's 6 inches thick, and another a few steps away that's barely an inch. But from above? They often look identical. Thin ice fails without much warning. You might hear a crack, a hollow sound, a sharp snap. Then the surface gives way. There's no gradual sinking. You drop straight into freezing water. This is the real killer. When you fall into icy water, your body gasps involuntarily. Breathing becomes rapid and uncontrollable. Heart rate spikes. Blood pressure jumps. If your face is underwater when that gasp happens, you can inhale water immediately. Cold shock alone can cause drowning within seconds. Even if you stay conscious, hands lose strength quickly. Grip weakens. Coordination disappears. Within minutes, muscles become too stiff to pull yourself out. Cold water drains heat 20 to 25 times faster than cold air. Time is brutally short. Trying to save someone on thin ice is risky because rescuers can also break through. The area around the victim is already weak, and cold exposure affects everyone involved. That's why trained responders use ropes, poles, ladders, and flotation devices. Running towards someone is often the worst move. Why is thin ice so deceptive and dangerous? It combines visual illusion, looks solid, sudden structural failure, instant cold shock, rapid muscle incapacitation, and difficult self-rescue. It's not the fall that's usually fatal, it's the water. But freezing isn't the only extreme nature uses. What if the air itself feels like an oven? Number 4. Heat basins and deadly deserts. Some landscapes trap heat like a giant bowl. In places like Death Valley, temperatures soar so high that the body loses water faster than it can be replaced. Dehydration clouds judgment, mirages distort reality, and vast empty terrain erases direction. Many who wander too far never find their way back. Heat basins and deserts don't look violent. No spinning funnel, no cracking ice, no sudden collapse, just sun and silence. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. A heat basin is an area, often in a desert valley, where hot air gets trapped. Surrounding mountains block airflow. Little moisture exists to cool the surface and solar radiation builds all day. Instead of heat escaping, it accumulates. Why are deserts and heat basins so dangerous? Dehydration happens faster than you think. Heat stroke can be rapid and fatal. The landscape is deceptively open. Vehicles fail fast. Cold nights. Add another layer of danger. Sudden flash flooding in dry areas, and isolation multiplies risk. They don't attack you. They outlast you. And yet, even deserts can't compare to what lies beneath the earth. Number 3. Caves with no exit. Cave systems can twist for miles underground. Narrow passages flood unexpectedly. Oxygen levels drop, and darkness removes all sense of direction. Even experienced explorers can become trapped when water rises or tunnels collapse. Some caves have claimed lives simply because there was no room to turn around. Caves with no exit are dangerous for one core reason. They remove your margin for error. No alternate path, no airflow guarantee, no quick retreat. Once you go in, your only way out is the way you came. Let's unpack why that combination is so risky. In caves with limited airflow, gases can build up. Carbon dioxide from natural seepage or your own breathing, hydrogen sulfide in volcanic regions, and low oxygen levels in poorly ventilated chambers. You don't always smell or see these dangers. Caves often connect to underground streams. Heavy rain miles away can cause sudden water surges, rising water levels, and narrow passages filling quickly. In a cave with no alternate exit, rising water can cut off your only way out. Flash cave flooding has trapped even experienced explorers. Caves distort sound and light. Without clear markers, Everything looks similar, distances feel different, and directions become confusing. In a single exit cave, getting turned around doesn't just delay you. It increases your exposure to exhaustion, hypothermia, air quality risks, and panic underground spreads quickly. Cave temperatures are usually stable, but often cold and damp. Hypothermia happens easily. Wet clothing drains heat fast, you can't generate much warmth in tight spaces, and immobility accelerates cooling. Underground, you don't get sunlight, wind, or dry ground to help warm up. Some caves are stable, others aren't. In dead-end chambers, loose rock may shift, ceilings can flake or crumble, and small collapses can block the exit. If the only passage becomes obstructed, rescue becomes complex and time-sensitive. Complete darkness, tight spaces, no sense of time, no outside noise. In a cave with no exit, your brain understands something primal. There is no backup plan. That can trigger claustrophobia, panic breathing, poor decisions, rushing through tight sections, and rushing underground is dangerous. In 2018, rising floodwaters in the Tam Luang Cave trapped a youth soccer team deep inside this cave. Rescue required complex diving operations because there was no alternate exit route. That incident showed how quickly conditions underground can change and how dangerous a single exit system can become. Underground, light equals life. If your headlamp fails, backup lights fail, and batteries die, you are in total darkness. In a cave with no exit loop, you can't circle around to reorient. You must retrace your exact path. No light means no safe movement. It's not that every dead-end cave is instantly deadly. It's that underground, when something goes wrong, options disappear fast. But nature's most terrifying traps don't always look dangerous. Sometimes they look beautiful. Number 2, rip currents. At the beach, waves crash gently. Tourists relax. Everything feels safe. Then suddenly, the water pulls straight out to sea. Rip currents move faster than Olympic swimmers. The harder people fight against them, the faster exhaustion sets in. Many drown within sight of shore, not because they were far away, but because they didn't understand the current. Rip currents are dangerous because they don't look dangerous. No giant wave, no dramatic whirlpool, no obvious danger zone. Just normal-looking ocean that suddenly starts moving you the wrong way, and fast. A rip current is a narrow, powerful channel of water that flows away from the shore, back toward deeper water. Here's what happens. Waves push water toward the beach. That water has to go back out. Instead of spreading evenly, it sometimes funnels through a narrow gap. That concentrated flow becomes a fast-moving river in the ocean. It's not pulling you down, it's pulling you out. Rip currents can move 3 to 8 feet per second. They are faster than an Olympic swimmer. If you try to swim straight back to shore against it, you'll exhaust yourself quickly. That exhaustion, not the current itself, is what causes many drownings. Rip currents often look like a darker patch of water, a gap in breaking waves, or choppy, foamy water moving outward. But to an untrained eye, it just looks like part of the beach. So when swimmers suddenly feel themselves being pulled away from shore, panic sets in. They fight the current, they tire rapidly, they inhale water, and that's where the real danger begins. Rip currents often form on sunny, beautiful beach days. The very days when beaches are crowded, even shallow water isn't safe. Rip currents are dangerous because they combine speed, surprise, panic, fatigue, and deep water beyond your comfort zone. They don't pull you under like a whirlpool. They pull you away until you can't get back. The most important thing to know is, if caught in a rip current, don't fight it straight back to shore. Float, swim parallel to the beach, then angle back in. Staying calm is survival. And now, the most terrifying natural trap of all. Number 1, the Darién Gap. The Darién Gap isn't just a jungle. It's a roadless, lawless, river-cut stretch of rainforest between Panama and Colombia. And it's the only break in the Pan American Highway. The Pan American Highway runs from Alaska to Argentina, except here. In the Darién Gap, there are no paved roads, no reliable infrastructure, no marked trails, and no quick evacuation routes. If something goes wrong, injury, illness, dehydration, Help is often days away. The terrain is brutal. This isn't flat jungle. It's dense rainforest canopy, steep hills and ridges, knee-deep mud, fast-moving rivers and swamps. Every step costs energy. River crossings are especially dangerous. Sudden rain upstream can turn a shallow crossing into a deadly surge within minutes. The climate is hot, oppressively humid, and constantly wet. Sweat doesn't evaporate well in high humidity, so your body struggles to cool itself. That means dehydration, heat exhaustion, skin infections, and fungal growth. You're not just walking, you're constantly fighting the environment. The region has historically carried risks of malaria, dengue, chikungunya, and parasitic infections. Mosquitoes thrive. So do bacteria in standing water. Small cuts can become serious infections quickly in jungle conditions. It's home to venomous snakes, poisonous insects, crocodilians in rivers, and large predators. The real danger isn't cinematic animal attacks. It's snakebite or infection far from medical care. Beyond the environmental risks, there's human danger. The area has long been known for smuggling routes, armed groups operating historically in the region, and robbery and exploitation of vulnerable travelers. People moving through the gap, especially migrants, are at risk of assault, theft, and worse. The isolation makes accountability difficult. After days of wet clothes, constant mud, hunger, sleep disruption, and uncertainty, mental exhaustion sets in quickly. Decision-making deteriorates. And in a place with rivers, cliffs, and dense jungle, poor decisions compound fast. In recent years, thousands of migrants have attempted to cross the Darién Gap. Many underestimate distance, terrain difficulty, river dangers, and health risks. What looks like just jungle on a map is actually one of the most logistically hostile regions in the Americas. It's not a single trap. It's an entire environment designed to overwhelm human limits. Nature doesn't need chains or cages to trap us. Sometimes the danger is water. Sometimes ice. Sometimes the air itself. Which of these natural traps do you fear the most? Comment below. And if you want more mysterious and dangerous facts from around the world, make sure you subscribe to Random Facts so you don't miss the next one. See you next time.